Hey guys, this is Peter with the Arise podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Patrick Boylan. He is the co-founder of an innovative app called MuseFlow AI, where it's completely transforming the way that we learn how to play music. He's also a performer himself in Los Angeles, and I can't wait to get into the story of this innovative company and also get to know Patrick as well and kind of what inspired him. So, Patrick, I just want to thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure, Peter. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about you. Where are you from? How did you get into music? How did this all start?
Yeah, born and raised in Chicago. I took 8 years of piano lessons and I hated every second of it. I just didn't work for me, man. Have you ever taken music lessons at all?
No, my brother did. My brother tried piano for a little bit. He kind of learned something, but I think he forgot most of it. But
I mean, that's usually the way it goes, right?
yeah,
Most people, 85% of people actually, stop playing an instrument after high school. And they cite specifically, and this is what I find fascinating, they cite that they're frustrated with the way that they're being taught, or they're bored with the way that they're being taught. So it's not the fact that like people don't want to learn how to play. No, it's the fact that pedagogy, the actual methodology of teaching, there's something flawed there.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you think? I'm curious about your perspective from it.
I think that just the times we live in, kind of like, you get home from like your job or more school, and then you got to meet your music teacher or your music tutor for like an hour, or you go to like this institution where you have to wait. It's just not fun. It's just not something you look into. It's like another thing that you just check off your box. And they're teaching a lot of other people too, so sometimes it doesn't feel personal. But yeah, I've never had the experience because I was too busy playing baseball in high school, so
Sure. Okay.
but I've
Yeah.
always wanted to learn how to play the guitar.
Mm,
Do you play the guitar? What instruments do you play?
I do. Yeah. I play acoustic. I don't really play electric.
Cool. That's the one I want to learn too.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
like,
Cool.
yeah. I want to get on my my John Mayer vibe.
Yo, dude, John Mayer's hard, man.
Yeah. Oh, really?
He's wild. Oh yeah, it's insane. His hand is like, look at his thumb. Just look at a picture of his thumb, and you'll see it's like nuts. It's so long, and he's able to anchor it over on top of what he's playing. Not a lot of people can do that, right? Where
Hmm.
they anchor over the actual fretboard of the guitar. He anchors over it, and he's able to play the top two notes there, the top
Really?
two strings with his thumb. Not a lot of people can do that. Then his hand is also massive. And so he did go to school. I think he went to Juilliard for a hot second. Or no. Berkeley. He went to Berkeley College of Music for a hot second and then dropped out because he didn't like the curriculum. And then he
Okay.
ended up teaching himself. And what he taught himself was a completely new way of being able to play, both in picking and strumming and also in the chords that he was able to make with his hand. So like, it's hard shit, dude. That's
Yeah.
hard stuff to play.
Yeah. I think also like, and then he, just blessed with the voice and stuff. So he just
Right.
has the whole package. I know in my culture, like my family's from Dominican Republic. So a big form of music, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called bachata.
Oh yeah, bachata.
And then it's like, like these guys are just like going crazy on the guitar, like having their own little like guitar solo. So I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I could use your app to learn one day. We'll see.
We're gonna pull up guitar someday soon.
Yeah,
We're starting off with piano to
with
start.
piano. Okay. So right
And
now,
yeah.
is that the instrument that you primarily perform with currently?
Yeah. Piano
Okay.
and singing. I have a piano bar here in Los Angeles that I play at, and a couple different restaurants that I play background jazz at. Yeah. So that's
Kind of like a,
that's how,
oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say kind of like a jazz club.
yeah, two steakhouses.
Nice.
They're like, upscale steakhouses. I got to wear a suit there. And I just sit there and I play background jazz for 4 hours. They feed me, they pay me a daily rate, and I get tips, and it's a request thing. People come on up and they request, and whatever they request, whether it's a pop tune, I always jazz it up. It's
That
like
is
a classy establishment. You need to like do something a little bit more fancy with it
a
than
little
just
bit
play
more.
like pop chords. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to kind of give it a little fancy twist, you know.
Little zhuzh, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they opened up a. I'm in Orlando. They opened up a jazz club not too far, so I definitely want to check
What's
it
the name
out.
of it?
I don't know, but I will get back to you on that. I'm not. Yeah, but it's jazz club or jazz cafe, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's wild to me that like jazz is now this like highfalutin art that, it's in steakhouses or like the jazz club. You go to a jazz club and you're probably going to spend $150 there, you know?
really.
And you're like, why? Jazz started as like this lower class art form that was like rebelling against the establishment. And now it has like risen to the level of establishment. And it totally pisses me off because I'm like, where did it start? It started as something that was like grungy and like punk music was back in the 90s, like jazz was back in the 60s and
Yeah,
30s. Like, you're like, man, what happened? What
yeah,
happened?
yeah. It was something you kind of just it wasn't like up there. I know with bachata too. That's how it was in the '90s too. It was kind of like it was like bar music, something you kind of. But now it's gotten to like this massive scale. You got people dancing it everywhere, which is really cool. Maybe I'll check out one of your shows out there in California.
If ever
We'll
you're
see.
here, hit me up, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
I'll
never.
bring I'll bring you on over.
How's living in California, by the way? I'm in Florida, so I'm sure it's a different world over there.
Totally different. Yeah. I mean, it's when I came here to Los Angeles, I felt immediately like I fit in. Everybody is just so weird and everybody's living their truth and everybody is so just like they're extremely hardworking and there's hope that's a part of it too. Not to get into politics or anything, but like it's a liberal bastion. Like Los Angeles is this like hot hot place of just like progressivism and that's kind of where I live, and that's
Yeah,
that's kind of my identity, not necessarily in politics, but like in simply just being. I believe
yeah,
that equality and diversity makes us stronger.
yeah. Hey, man, I'm actually like I live in Florida, but I'm originally from Queens, New York,
Hell yeah.
which has to be the most diverse place I think in the world. Like
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
growing up in Queens, like there's like you can literally eat any type of food you want 7 days a week.
Love it.
And yeah, so I think having that diversity is super important. And LA is it's known for performing arts and for being creative. And so I know with music, how did it start? Like, do you come from a family of performers? Like, what inspired you? What kind of got you into music? Where
Yeah.
does it originate from?
My dad's an actor. My mom was a news producer. And then she
Nice.
got into true crime documentary. And then she lived there for, 30 years. And she's on the middle of like retiring. She wrote a book and she's like halfway out the door kind of thing.
Okay.
But my dad has retired and he worked at a dinner theater in Chicago for 30, 40 years, making a union wage, doing his thing and doing the actor life. And he raised us during the day because he wasn't working during the day. And then he brought us to his dinner theater at night. And then my mother picked us up at night when she was done with her news work during the day. And so they were married throughout the majority of my childhood. But then, high school hit and then they divorced and it still was roughly the same.
Yeah.
My dad took us for a couple of weeks. My mom took us for a couple of weeks and we kind of rotated back and forth. But yeah, art was definitely a part of my household.
Got
I'm
so you
curious, was art like a part of your household?
not really. Not really.
No. Are you a baseball player?
Yes, yes. I mean, that's what brought me to Florida, college
Cool.
baseball, and obviously it didn't work out, right? I didn't sign with the Yankees as planned.
Oh, I'm so
But
sorry.
actually thinking about it, no, art. My dad was a DJ for a little bit.
Cool. Okay,
I
great.
think that's his secret like, dream. He doesn't say it, but he owns a very successful limo company in New York, and it goes well for him. But every time there's a family party, every time there's any type of celebration, he pulls out the DJ set and he
Yeah.
he kind of goes for it. So I think that's always been like his kind of thing. And
So cool.
yeah, but I've always loved music, and the older I get, the more I'm realizing like how it's intertwined with culture.
Yeah.
A big thing we talk about on this podcast is mental health as well. And I'm starting to realize that music is healing too. I mean, you can narrate any story. express any type of feeling. And I think that our generation needs to, keep that going, tapping into music and performing good music too. I think we need more genuine artists that play the actual instrument.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, look, electronic music is absolutely still music, in my opinion.
For sure, for sure.
There is nothing like a solid EDM track that I just go, like, either it's like super mellow
Yeah.
and I will listen to it with like killer headphones and just like eat up the richness that is in that, or it's, going really, really hard. We got techno, we got metal, we got so many different electronic musics that's like, it's great. I'm such a fan of like where music has progressed to.
Yeah.
But we do still have like solid instruments, acoustic instruments, as we call it. Not necessarily electric. Electric, of course, is like, again, a fantastic sort of genre that we can get on into, but we got acoustic instruments here. Sound is meant to be heard through the air, created by an instrument, reverberated out through the holes that it has into your ear. Sound is literally just simply pressure waves of sound. It's literally a wave of pressure hitting our eardrums. And if that can be created organically from an acoustic instrument, in my opinion, that's better. But again, I'm not poo-pooing any type of art form. I think we've progressed and adapted and adjusted these different instruments into electronic instruments incredibly well. And I love those types of genres.
Yeah. And there's just something about, now I really want to go to a jazz club. But there's just something about seeing someone perform in front of you, playing the instrument. Like, that experience is different than just listening to a song on the radio. And I mean, that's why they have you there, because I mean, I'm sure like you set with your piano playing, you set the whole vibe of the whole place.
Yeah. Definitely sets the tone. And I mean, I'm a positive person. And so I come on in with a smile and an open heart, and I am ready to take any request. And when the person that is kind of the fulcrum of that environment is in a good mood and having a good time and is there to entertain, it's infectious. Everybody's going to love that, But I don't know if you've ever gone to a concert and you've seen the artist up on stage and they're clearly not interested in being there. They're not happy to be there. I've been to a couple concerts where
yes.
The artist on stage was like not excited to be there.
Feels forced. Like they were
and I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, do you not love your job? Like, if you don't love your job, stop doing it. It's one of the hardest careers to be a part of. Like, don't play music if you're not absolutely loving it every single second of the day.
Because especially with music, I feel like there are certain careers that require a little bit more passion than others. And music is one of those where you can't fake it. I mean, when you're there, like you said, you're at a concert, you're performing for a small group of people, like they're going to notice. They're going to notice
Absolutely.
if you're actually enjoying it or you're dedicated to it. You have any funny stories of any like requests that, or like songs that were a little challenging to turn into,
Well, not necessarily jazz, because you can, for some reason that feels easier to do than simply like just doing a straight emo tune on the piano, right?
Okay.
Some of the hardest things to do, actually, in my opinion, is translating a song that was written on guitar. And it's very interesting on guitar into a song that I'm playing on piano. Sometimes it just doesn't translate properly.
No, it doesn't.
It feels boring, or it just like is muddy and doesn't really work. Maybe the finger picking pattern is like way too fast to be able to actually translate that onto piano properly. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And you have to like rearrange it in a way, or you just like forego that song. You're like, I'm sorry, this song is nearly impossible to play on piano.
It's not working. I think it's just that the piano and the guitar, they have such a unique touch that it just doesn't translate for every situation or every song. So, question, what's the first instrument that you learned?
Piano, for sure.
Piano,
Yeah.
okay.
8 years old, I asked my parents for lessons.
Really? Okay.
And they were like, Pat, it's a lifelong hobby. And I'm like, come on, I want it. Yes, absolutely. I know it's a lifelong hobby. And they're like, you're going to have to commit. We're going to make you commit if you don't want to commit. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. And they're like, okay. And they got me into private lessons. And yeah, I was a really bad student. I really
Yeah.
was.
How was that
My parents had to
process?
ground me.
How long did it take for you to, because I'm sure like, obviously you're starting out just like anything, it takes a while, but when did it start clicking for you where like, you're like, oh, I have a gift here. Like I'm pretty talented at this. I can kind of push it a little further and see, maybe turn it into a career.
That didn't happen until 7 years ago.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. My journey is confusing, but it happened.
Hmm.
It started off with 8 years of piano lessons, like private lessons.
Okay.
And me being a terrible student, my parents had to ground me because I wasn't practicing. And then I was practicing, but it was just such a drag. The way that we teach music doesn't really vibe with my brain. I'm super scattered. I got ADHD, of the late stage diagnosis of ADHD. And so
I
in
think
retrospect,
I think I have it too, undiagnosed, but I think I have it too because
yeah, you
my
think so?
my focus is everywhere. Yeah, it's hard sometimes.
Very hard. I'm telling you, medication really helped with that. It
Yeah.
really did. But no, back in the day, like I was not able to focus on the right way
Hmm.
of learning how to play. The way that we're taught is in a way through rote memorization. Your teacher gives you a new concept, whether that's a new note or a new rhythm or a new way of moving about the piano or whatnot. They say, here's a song that uses that new concept. Go home and practice that on repeat to perfection. And then come back the next week and I will check it off as good, or no, you did it wrong. Like you got to go home. You didn't play it perfectly. You got to go home and practice that again. And that is just not, number one, that's not the most effective way of actually teaching how to play an instrument because it turns into rote memorization at that point, and you're only teaching that new skill within the isolated circumstance of that one specific song.
It kind of feels
So
like
it's
school. Like, school, you just have to memorize just to pass the test, but
right, right.
you're not like engaging in the process and the enjoyment of learning. You're just trying to
Absolutely.
check a box next week.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I am constantly nowadays posing the question, what if there's a new way to learn? What if there's a different way to learn? And what if that way involved novelty and flow and experiencing experiencing the process of learning and enjoying that process? What if we were able to get students into a way of learning and digesting information that is very engaging and very effective for them specifically? So we got personalization. And number two, we've got flow state where they're like engrossed in the process of doing and learning. And number three, they're learning the skills outside the context of this one specific situation. We're not trying to learn facts here. Right? We're trying to learn why those facts occurred so we can understand holistically the experience of that moment. I'm thinking history class. Instead of learning the dates and learning like what happened on that date, how about we learn the journey of what happened up until that point? And then we can fully understand the context of that event that happened on that date. We'll memorize it so much better at that point.
Yeah. No, you're more, like you said, you're more intertwined with the process and you're understanding why it's just not another box to check. I know that like I love the MuseFlow idea. I think it's so innovative. I spend a lot of time on, testing out different AI apps and stuff like that. And we're just walking into another world where it just makes things so much more effective and convenient. But tell us more about like the mission behind MuseFlow. If you could tell our guests also what it's about. Not because you're here, Patrick, but I do think that this is the future of learning an instrument. And I'm excited to use the app. And I'll start with piano, I'll start, but just the fact that you make I feel like this app makes learning more enjoyable. It's not that traditional teacher student, music teacher. I got to spend 45 minutes here just to pass a test or not really engaged. So tell us a little bit more about the purpose of MuseFlow, what you see it being in the next couple years, and yeah, like what do you think about it? Where do you think it's going? What impact do you think it's going to make?
Well, MuseFlow started off as a sort of, well, if it worked for me, myself, well, then maybe it would work for other people. So after 8 years of lessons, I found my own way of learning. And that is really where my true education came into play. So instead of learning the new skills inside of just an isolated song, I went back to sheet music and I said, I want to learn this song verbatim. And then I started learning each little note. And then I found a pattern that I really enjoyed, whether that was a melody in the right hand or a rhythmic pattern in the left hand that was kind of combined with the right, something that I really found beautiful or really fun to play, right? And then I closed the sheet music and then I improvised around that little phrase, that little pattern. I put it in my right hand. I put it in my left hand. I inverted it. I flipped it on its head. I played it backwards. I put it in all the different keys. I slowed it down. I sped it up. I broke it into 4. I broke it into 3. I broke it into 2. And I really just like fleshed it out, right? And I was improvising around it, putting in all these different musical contexts. And I did that for years through taking these little phrases and putting them inside of an improvisation, right? And that was years. And then I got to college and I was the only acting major that, I was able to play piano. Nobody else was able to play piano. And so all these musical theater nerds were throwing music in front of me being like, hey, Pat, I want to learn this song for an audition. I want to learn this song for something else. And I was like, cool, throw it in front of me. I'd never seen the song before, right? Throw it in front of me. Let's see if we can do it. And I started playing it and they started singing and like we just kept going and I was able to play it somewhat relatively okay. I wasn't messing them up. And we got to the end of the song and I'm like, whoa, why? I'd never seen this song before. Why could I play it at first sight? And I realized what I was doing was taking these little core phrases from all these songs over the course of years. I was taking these core phrases and I was putting them in all of these different contexts so that if I saw that core phrase again pop up in another song, if I saw that pop up in another song, I was able to play that.
You're able to recognize it.
I was. And so now I can safely say I can sight read pretty darn well. I'm not the biggest fan of classical music because it's extremely specific, but for like pop music, rock music, jazz, musical theater, like give me any of those songs, I can sight read that for relatively pretty well. And it's because of the way that I taught myself how to play. Right.
So question for guests that are, listening and they may not be too familiar. So sight reading is when you just see it or hear it. And then from there, you kind of already recognize and then kind of a little bit of improvisation, but also memorization, right?
It's zero memorization.
Okay.
It is solely playing it at first sight. So
that's great.
Imagine reading a book. You're reading a book out loud, right? A song, for example, is a paragraph. Okay. You can read that paragraph pretty darn well. Now, what if you learned how to read by simply reading paragraphs after paragraphs after paragraphs? That's it. Just a paragraph, a chunk at a time, right? In zero context, out of zero, like just randomly. Here's a paragraph. Here's a paragraph. Here's a paragraph, right? You wouldn't really learn how to read at that point.
Yeah.
The way we teach how to read is through, here are the core fundamental principles. Here are the literal words and letters that make up those words. Here's the grammar of how to read. Here are the commas. Here are the periods. This is what a sentence means. This is an idiom. This is what this implies, right? Like we know, and then we learn how to read a book because we know the fundamentals outside the context of one specific paragraph. It's the same thing with music. I learned how to read music fluently and proficiently because I didn't learn through songs. I learned through that fundamental, taking the core principle and putting in all these different contexts, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we learn how to read languages. That's how we learn how to speak. And so there's a direct one-to-one between music as a language and actual like words on a page as language too. There's a direct correlation of like how we learn those kind of things, right? And so MuseFlow is a direct translation of like how I learned, where the improvisation was the engine of my curriculum. What we're using is sight reading as the engine of our curriculum. We're taking the core fundamentals and we're putting them in music that you've never seen before, that never repeats, that's exactly at your skill level. That's key. It's just
Okay.
pushing you a little bit. We're giving you that new skill in the context of what you already know, but we're putting it just a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So you're not super frustrated with what you're playing, or you're not super bored with what you're playing, right? The music that you're playing in MuseFlow is seamless. It flows, it goes, it's beautiful. All of this was algorithmically or AI generated, but then it was hand touched up,
Hand
is what we
designed.
like to call it.
Yeah.
Because random notes are not going to be fun to play, nor are they going to be, you're not going to understand it. It's just going to be random at that point, right?
Yeah.
So we need to make it coherent. We need to make it a thought. If a phrase is a sentence, we need to make that sentence make sense, right?
Of course.
And so it needs to have an arc to it. It needs to have a melody to it. It needs to have a chord progression. And so we clean up the AI generated music, and then we put those into the app for you at very specific levels. And we add a new note here and there at very specific levels. And then you grow from there.
I love that. I love the fact that it challenges you a little bit because, if you just stay at the same level, but also you also don't want to go above your level. So it's like challenging you just enough to where you're
Right.
like constantly improving. Interesting. Then is it kind of like based off of does it give you like a level? Like, oh, you're starting like level 1, or are there different categories within the app?
Yeah. So level 0 is, here's the piano.
That's
This is what a piano
level.
looks like. Yeah. And within 7 minutes, we can get you playing your first note in both hands with 3 different rhythms on sheet music. And we do we use what we call interactive tutorials and a principle of education called just-in-time learning, where it is, here's the concept, now immediately apply it. And then we give you feedback based on that, and then you iterate based on that. And then once you've successfully learned the new concept in the interactive tutorial, then you go into the sight reading level. So level 0 is simply the introduction. It goes from, here's a piano. This is your first note. This is what sheet music looks like. This is what that note looks like on the sheet music in both hands.
Okay.
And then here are 3 different rhythms. Now, let's get you into your first level. And then we get you into your first level and we say, again, this is your first note. This is how it looks like in both hands. This is your 3 rhythms. Play it. Okay, great. You successfully played them. Now here's a little bit more context. Play it as a phrase. Okay, great. You successfully played it as a phrase. Great. Let's get you into the sight reading level. And you play that one note. You just go and you play it and you play it. The metronome is going. You're just consistently going with the metronome, and you're going and you play and you get to 95% accuracy, and you play 4 phrases of music in a row at 95% accuracy at the goal tempo, and you pass the level.
And then you are ecstatic.
And then the dopamine hit happens, and you're going fucking crazy. Excuse me. You can beep that out.
You're
You
good.
want
No,
it.
you're good.
Going
You're good.
crazy. You're going crazy, and you're having a great time, and there you go. And then we add another note in the next level. The next level, level 2, we add D in the right hand. That was middle C. Great. Now we add D. The first tier of level 2 is just your right hand, C and D. That's it. And we use those 3 rhythms, right? And then the next tier in level 2, we add in your left hand playing C. So we got C, C, and D. And then the next level, level 3, is
D?
B.
Oh, B. Okay.
B in the left hand. And what do we do in the first tier? We just do the left hand. And in the second tier, we add in the right hand. So we're slowly teaching it in isolation first, and then we're building the context into what you already know from there. And we've gamified it, right? You got to get 95% accuracy at the goal tempo, and you got to get 4 phrases of music in a row at that goal tempo, at that 95% accuracy. And then once you get to level 3 and 4, once you get to level 3, then songs get unlocked after that. So it's kind of a 2-parter here, right? We're doing the sight reading training, putting that as the first thing that you learn.
Okay.
A lot of curricula have this as an ancillary thing. They say sight reading is important, but it's not the fundamental, right? We're saying, no, that is the fundamental thing, because we can gamify it and we can make it fun, and we can add flow involved in there, and we can teach you the basics through sight reading, right? And so once you learn it through sight reading, Then songs get unlocked after that, and then you can apply the skills that you've learned to songs. At that point, you're pretty proficient already. And so then the questions become, well, what's the name of the song? Why do you want to play it this way? How do you want to play it? What type of affectation do you want to use? You're the musician. You get to choose how to interpret this song. And that's what we call musicianship. And that is the real fun of playing music. The reasons why we play music is to emotionally communicate an idea to the audience. And when you start being able to make those decisions, you're technically proficient. You can play that song perfectly well. But if you can't start asking yourself the questions, well, why do I want to play it this way? And how do I want to play it? What thing do I want to communicate to the audience? Once you start answering those questions, then you're really getting somewhere. And that's the real fun of playing. So we want to get you there faster.
Yeah. No, you get to that point where you genuinely feel like you're expressing yourself through the music. And you feel like you said, you feel like a musician. You feel like you're not just following something along, you're actually creating, music and your own expression. That sounds very exciting, by the way. Like
Thanks, man.
just that
Thanks.
the process and how enjoyable it is. It sounds very very exciting. So
Yeah.
is there like a cap? Like is there a ultimate level that you reach? Or how does that? I don't want to give people too much, but like, is there I guess what's like the goal or what's like the cap? Like, do you become like an expert level? Like,
Yeah, there really is no cap here, right? It's just a high score game at the end of the day.
okay,
It's how fast can you play and how complicated of a piece can you play, right?
gotcha.
It's a high score game, and there is the limit does not exist. There are people that can sight read stuff that is insane, stuff that I could never, We're talking crazy jazz or ragtime that has like crazy jumps in your left hand, 2-octave jumps back and forth playing random notes. Some people can sight read classical music, and that stuff is very difficult to do because it's extremely specific,
Yes,
right? But again, the limit does not exist. It is one of those things that if it can be the engine of the curriculum, we can keep adding another note, adding a new rhythm, adding a new concept. We can just keep extending the complexity and making it more and more complex.
gotcha. So let's say I'm ready to start. Like, where do I go? How do I, sign up for MuseFlow? Like, how does that? How
Just go
does
to the
that?
website. It's a web app,
Okay,
so you can use it. You can use your browser.
okay,
Slowly but surely, we're going to be making this more and more complex to where it can't live in the browser.
of course,
But
yeah,
right now, it can. We're using a game engine called Phaser, and
okay,
we're putting that inside of an environment called React. And so that all is JavaScript. That all is right there in your browser right now. And so we've got an iPad app that you can download. If you have an iPad and you've got what is called a MIDI keyboard, MIDI keyboard, it's an electric keyboard that can hook into your computer or your iPad.
okay,
You need to have that right now.
okay,
That's where we're at. Okay.
okay,
Either a Chrome or Edge browser on a
okay.
PC or Mac or Linux, whatever you got. Just make sure you use Chrome or Edge,
As the
and
primary
make sure you have
browser.
yeah.
Okay,
Your Firefox and Safari don't seem to work really that well.
okay.
They've got barriers. I don't know. It's complicated, but privacy settings,
Firefox,
basically.
Firefox is still around.
Firefox is still around. Can you believe it?
I was like, I haven't heard of Firefox in a long time. Like it's been a while.
We got to think about everything here,
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Firefox is still very much around.
Oh
People use
wow.
it still.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. I didn't know that. No, it's been a while since I heard that name. That's why I was like Firefox.
I know.
But that's
Yeah, so go and just go to our website, MuseFlow.ai, start the free trial. Got a 14-day free trial for you. And if you're listening to the podcast, we'd love to give you guys and Peter, like, please, if you want to learn,
yes, I do.
like, I'd
Genuinely.
love to give you and your listeners a coupon code.
Okay.
Free
Let's do it.
trial, no credit card necessary to sign up. Just start the free trial.
Okay.
And then after 14 days, the paywall will show up. On the paywall, there will be a little thing that says got a coupon code.
Okay.
And you click that and you type on in, let's call it Arise 50. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
ARISE 50. And that'll get anybody who uses it 50% off for life.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put it in the show notes too. So guys, this is a good opportunity. I know I'm jumping on this opportunity, so I'm gonna definitely get my 50% off. And before it gets, bigger, I think like I said, MuseFlow, I honestly do think that this is the future of music and learning music. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see like how far you guys go. Maybe, put new instruments in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the goal.
I know that this is a really great idea. Like I said, Rise 50 guys one more time for the 50% off. But it's not easy to take an idea like this and actually build the app. So if you could just talk a little bit more about that entrepreneur experience, because I know that the idea is amazing, but putting it into practice and building the systems could be a little bit challenging. So how did you rise over that and create this amazing product?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it was a lot of kismet. I feel extremely lucky
Yeah.
to be able to say that we put out the intention and then it just started coming.
Okay.
Yes, we executed on the intention. Absolutely we did. And it took a lot of pushing forward, but that's kind of just my vibe. I'm a pusher.
Yeah.
But I also have a co-founder that is extremely patient.
Okay.
And so him and we respect each other. At the end of the day, it is all about respect.
Of
Right.
course. Of
And when
course.
he says, yo, Pat, you need to chill the fuck out. Right. I say, okay, okay, okay. Or when I say, guys, we got to move. We got to keep going. What is happening? We're stalling here. They're
Mhm.
like, okay, got to go. But you're not wrong. The people can get stuck in that learning process of let's build the idea to its fullest extent. Let's build it out. Let's flesh it out in our minds. And then it becomes too big to execute on or too precious. I don't know if you've ever felt that before, but I see people all over the place that like have such incredible ideas, but they can't execute on it because of either a fear of failure or a perfectionist attitude. There's so many things that get in the way, but the whole thing that is truly necessary, the thing that got me over the hump is that, well, perfectionism kills creativity. It really, really does. If we
I-
need to,
If you could say that louder, because that is so true. That is
perfectionism kills creativity.
100%.
If you want to make something perfect, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to be perfect. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's not going to happen. And so if you want to put it on a pedestal, you're screwing yourself over because there's no way to penetrate something that is so far out of reach. You're not able to climb that ladder. There's no freaking ladder. You got to build it as you go.
Exactly.
And so if you put it so far out of reach, it's impossible for you to be able to attain.
Exactly.
And so don't even think about the end result. Of course, the idea out there is really, really cool. You got a great idea. Awesome. What is the minimum viable product, the MVP? What is that? What is the thing that separates you from the masses? What's the thing that brings value to the market that nobody else does? Build that. Just the core. That's it. Get feedback on that. Iterate from there. That's how we build something. Otherwise, it is too perfect and it's too out of reach.
Yeah. Same thing with this podcast. I was talking about it for a year or two. Like, oh, I'm going to start this podcast. I'm going to start this podcast. And it wasn't until I saw someone else with that same, kind of saying the same thing. And I was like, do I sound like that? Like, I just keep talking about it, but I'm waiting to like have the perfect name or the perfect logo. And I tend
Right.
to see that even with goals and things that I want to achieve, it's like you're waiting till it's perfect. But I think, like you said, perfectionism kills creativity and you have to learn as you go. And even with the app, you see, like, I'm sure that you're not going to be perfect, but the momentum, the action, that's what gets you to where you need to go. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and like MuseFlow right now, I mean, I'm sure that you guys haven't figured everything out. You guys are learning as you go, implementing new strategies, doing little tweaks, and
Absolutely.
yeah, you got to act as you go.
And you got to build the ladder as you're climbing it.
Exactly.
And there are so many features that we're building that wasn't even a part of the original idea.
Really.
Me and my co-founder, Steven, I brought this idea to him of like, what if we were able to teach through sight reading and it was gamified, 95% accuracy of the goal tempo, 4 phrases in a row, boom, you beat the level and we teach you incrementally. He was like, dude, I literally thought about the same idea. And I was like, what? And he was like, but he brought in the idea of like, what if AI generated the music?
Yeah.
And we were able to train the models so that it just created it and our hands didn't have to be involved all the time, because it's not scalable if we have to handwrite every single phrase.
Yeah.
Currently in the app, as it stands, 27 levels of music. There are 10,000 phrases of music. That is 4 measures long for a phrase. That's 4 beats in a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so think about all those notes. That 10,000 times 4 times 4 times 4 again,
It's a lot.
times 4 again. That's how many notes there are currently in MuseFlow. Okay.
Wow.
Like it's exponential. It's exponential once you get down to the core of it. Right. And so we couldn't write all of that music because it just wouldn't make sense monetarily and time-wise. And so we had to find another way to make this scalable. And algorithmically generating the music, base level right there, that cut the time in half.
Yeah.
Right there. And then training a model on top of it to be able to then perfect the music that is being generated and make it even more musical. That cuts it down even farther, another third right there. And so then all we got to do is just go in and tweak a note here and there.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Now, that's scalable. Now that is scalable. And soon enough, the music is going to get so good that we don't even have to tweak it. The pipeline will just be straight from the algorithm to the AI to then to MuseFlow, right? A human won't even have to be involved at that point.
Nice.
So we did create the idea. Like
Yeah.
we wrote it down on paper. We have a 65-page document called the MuseFlow Bible.
Really?
And this was built from me and my co-founder, Steven, our conversations. We recorded all the conversations and we referenced them and we got obsessed with this idea. And we got obsessed with the idea of like revolutionizing music education. And then further, what if we actually revolutionized education with this idea of flow state, personalization, enjoying the process, gamifying it, like all of that? What if we were able to do that with other departments?
Types of learning.
Number one, other types of learning, but also like other subjects. What if we were able to do this with history? What if we could do this with math?
It'd be more
I don't know
fun.
what that would look like.
It'd be
I
more
have
fun.
no idea. It would be so much more fun.
Yeah.
And we would enjoy the process of learning. And so anyway, that being said, it's like, yeah, we did create a massive document that had every single feature. But then we were like, cool, let's go find people that give us money to make this.
Yeah.
And we went to a couple of meetings with VC firms and they were like, cool, this is a really cool idea, guys. But have you built anything before? And we were like, no. No, I'm a pianist. And Steven's like, I'm a piano teacher. Neither of us have built anything before. And they were like, guys, you got to go build it. We're not going to give you millions of dollars unless you build it first. Like build your minimum viable product, get some engine. And we're like, what about engineers? And they're like, you got to find them. You know, they're out there. You can inspire people. Go for it. Do it. And so we were like, okay, well, who are these engineers? And so we put that intention out and we didn't even like, within 3 weeks of us like needing to find software engineers, we went on a hike with a friend of a friend of a friend who we met at a birthday party. And he was a back-end software engineer for this big health company. And he's very good at what he does and he makes a lot of money doing it. And we wanted to pick his brain about software development and the agile method of developing and what that means and how it looks like. And so we ended up going on this big old hike in Malibu, this 4-hour-long hike. And we just started talking about MuseFlow, just getting into the weeds about like what it's about, why we're building it, what is going to be necessary to build it. And we went to brunch afterwards and the dude got obsessed with the databases that would be needed to like host these phrases and the pipelines that would be needed to like take the phrases from our back end and put them into the front end and all the stuff that we want to do on top of that. He got obsessed with it. A week later, he texts us and he says, guys, I want a meeting. And we're like, a meeting? And he's like, yeah. And we're like, okay. And so we get a virtual meeting going and he pulls up a presentation and says why Steven, his name is Steven as well, why Steven should work at MuseFlow.
So he was like pitching you guys.
He pitched us on him working for us and with us, as a co-founder.
Yeah, as a co-founder.
Yeah. So he was our first guy. And then the other guy I met at a gig, I was playing background jazz at Maggiano's at the Grove here in Los Angeles.
Is that
I had a gig
the
on
Italian?
Sundays.
That's the Italian place, right?
Yeah.
Maggiano's? Yeah.
Yeah. The only Maggiano's with a grand piano in their bar is the one here in Los Angeles. And so RIP, that thing is not open anymore at the Grove, this mall that's down in LA in Midtown. It's not open anymore, unfortunately. But so I used to play there every Sunday, just doing a 4-hour gig, playing background jazz in their bar, right? They fed me. I got a daily rate and all that stuff, right? And so there was a guy that was there. I walked in one day and there was a guy that was just playing. And I was like, who is this guy? He was playing piano. And I'm like, I'm supposed to start playing. And he was playing something beautiful, like this Beethoven or something, gorgeous piece. And I go up to him and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm supposed to start playing. What are you doing? Who are you? And he was like, oh, I live right around the street. I just come on in here sometimes. They feed me dinner and I just play. I love this piano. And I'm like, it's a great piano, right? And he's like, yeah, I love playing it. And they just let me, And I'm like, you're really good. Do you want to well, we call it trading songs. Do you want to go back and forth and you play a song and I'll play a song? We trade songs. And he was like, yeah, sure. Let's do that. We get to talking. Turns out he's a classically trained pianist. Turns out he's a software developer.
Both?
Yep.
That was perfect.
It was absolutely perfect. I butter him up. I buy him dinner. I show him our pitch deck. And again, a week later, he texts me. He's like, yo, dude, I can't stop thinking about MuseFlow. I want in. Can I help? And I'm like, yes, please. Let's do it.
Nice.
And so I don't know the guy. And so I vet him. I talk with some of his friends. He gives me a resume. I do his contacts and all that stuff. I make sure he's a good human. Yeah, the guy's great. And he's our fourth co-founder. And so 2 technical co-founders, 2 creative co-founders. Yeah, we've been doing this for 3 years.
That's how you built the core 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's super cool. No, and it's crazy how sometimes as you go, as you start working towards whatever you want to work, pieces just start coming together, right? I think if you guys would have just kind of stayed there and not taken action, or maybe after the first pitch got disencouraged, right? But you guys kept going and then the pieces just started coming together.
I think it's one of those things I know a lot of people think that it takes a lot of work to make something happen, but I think you got to be able to distinguish between something. If the universe is telling you stop doing it, then you got to listen to the signs.
Yep.
But if the universe is slowly nudging you in the direction of doing it, then you got to take those signs too. The discouragement that we got by the VCs that we talked to, it wasn't a discouraging, you guys are stupid for doing this. You guys are nothing. Why are you doing this? One of the VCs literally told us this was the worst pitch that he ever heard, but it had nothing to do with the content. It had to do with us, right?
Gotcha.
We were super green and we just monologued for 45 minutes about MuseFlow. It wasn't a conversation or anything like that. And so that was dumb on our part. Okay. But the other 2 were guys, this is great, but it's a no for now because you haven't built anything. You got to prove yourself. And so who was the problem here? It was us.
Yes.
The idea was solid. We just needed to grow. And so we took that as a learning experience. We didn't take that as a no.
Yeah, no. And ultimately from their perspective, they do want to see something, before investing money into it and things like that. So
I get it.
Yeah, I get it too. Yeah, no. And you guys did that. You guys took that info. You weren't discouraged and you guys kept going. And I hope MuseFlow goes really far. I'm really excited to check it out. I do want to ask you one final question here on the podcast, and getting away music can kind of still apply to this too, but we're big on mental health on this podcast. We're also big on the arise mindset, what's something you had to arise over, and what do you do to arise into a better version of yourself? So what would you say is something that you had to arise over that ultimately led you into becoming a better version of yourself?
Humility is one of them. Communication and types of communication. Our technical co-founders are very technical. One of them is highly creative. Yes.
Yeah.
But the other one is very technical, very like just not a creative really.
Mhm.
He's creative in his own way. He's very creative in building software and engineering problems
In a technical way.
in a very technical way. And yeah. And so we speak very different languages and we come at it with very different intents. Okay. Ego was a part of his. Mine was really like a strong, like I was putting the idea on the pedestal and I was saying like, this idea needs to be, I was keeping it very precious and I was keeping it very like special. Right. And he kept arguing from a completely different way and I kept arguing from a completely different way. And so I needed to find a way for us to communicate properly. Otherwise we were going to just butt heads the entire way.
Yeah.
So we had a 2-hour-long conversation, me and him, and we just got on the phone and we just hashed it out. And we were like, what's my problem? What's your problem? Right? What do we got against each other? Okay, I get it. What can you do? Then the question became, what can I do to help you? Like, what are the things that I can change? Tell me, because I'm adaptable. I can absolutely, because like at the end of the day, we still want to make this product together. Okay. We really, really do.
On the same team.
We're on the same team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what can I do to change my behavior to make this easier for you? Vice versa. Right. We both have to make sacrifices here. And so that allowed us, and we both then changed our behaviors because of that conversation. And I was extremely happy that that conversation happened because we would not be here if that conversation didn't happen. And there were some hard lines where I was like, that's not going to work for me, dude.
Yeah.
That's not, he was like, let's not talk. Can we just like, you and I just like not talk directly? Like, let's go through Steven. Let's go through our other co-founder. Everything that we say to each other needs to go through Steven first. And I'm like, that's not going to work for me, buddy. That's not going to work. We need open and clear communication. We are co-founders in this.
Yep.
Okay. And so we had to find, number one, a level of respect. And what is our base level of respect here? Like, I respect your opinion and he respects my opinion and we respect each other's perspectives. Right. And then number two, what can I do to make it easier for you? What is pissing you off about me? Tell me that. And let me see if I can change that.
Let me see if I can
Vice
work.
versa. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so those were the two things that really needed to kind of work out. And I really had to humble myself to overcome that, to rise to the occasion and to lay my heart on the floor and say, stomp on it if you need to. I'll still be here.
Yeah. And remember the bigger picture too, sometimes in whether it's business, whether it's personal relationships, sometimes we get so caught up in the little day-to-day differences that we don't realize that we have the same goal, whether it's a business, whether it's a marriage, it's a relationship, like we're in this for the long run, and you can't get caught up in the little day-to-day obstacles.
Absolutely. Rise to the occasion.
Yeah. That did make you into a better version of yourself as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that did. Yeah.
And then I think also I asked, before that was a mental health question. So we're super big on mental health, and I know music is like healing for mental health. What do you do for your mental health? Is music part of that? Just anything you can share with our audience, because like I said, we're always looking for ways to better our mental health, and I think it's so important nowadays to practice that. So if you could just share what works for you and maybe help someone else out there.
My anxiety is high.
Mhm.
And so what I have to do is work out. I got to get it out of my body.
Yes.
If my anxiety is living inside of me, that's the worst for me.
Yep.
And so I have to work out every day, and I got to be tired by the time I go to bed. Otherwise I'm not. Like, if I don't work out, I'm not tired.
Yeah.
And so I got to go to the gym. I got to run, and I got to lift some weights at minimum. Outdoors is also extremely important for me. That's one of the reasons why I live here in Los Angeles. It has an incredible outdoor community. You can go to sunrise hikes. You can go to sunset hikes. The mountains are beautiful. I live on the foothills of one, and I walk it nearly every week. It's just getting perspective, and being outdoors is extremely important for me. So those are the two main things. And then music, you got to find a way. You got to find a vehicle to be able to express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
However, whatever that means to you. And I was talking to my grandpa recently about this, actually. And he was like, I asked him, I was like, do you think emotions are inherently feminine? And he said,
No way, really?
men don't have emotions. And I'm like, you're kidding yourself, man. You're kidding yourself. We have more emotions than
Yeah,
anybody.
it's
Like,
true. It's true.
and so testosterone makes you angry, and testosterone makes you really just the energy that comes from it. And so you got to find a way to get that out. However that is. And music is very much a part of that. My instrument, the literal, how I translate my emotions into something outside of myself is through music and singing. And then I also get it out through weightlifting. So you got to find your own way to like truly get those emotions out. And if you think that is like feminine and you're like above it, then you're wrong. You're kidding yourself. You're burying your emotions, and that's going to come out some other way.
Yeah.
So you got to find a way to like express yourself.
By the way, my grandfather is similar too. He was, he's always like, oh, men got to be tough. And I get it. Like, yeah, but you can't be tough all the time. And also having an emotion doesn't make you less tough. It just makes you human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you just got to find what works. I know a lot of people, for me, the gym is huge. Honestly, whenever I'm going to the gym consistently, like my mental health is always like up here. Or if it's like struggling a little bit, the gym at least gives you like, I don't know, just that rush. There's days where I don't feel like going and I end up going and I feel amazing. So
Yeah, dude.
yeah.
Totally same.
Yeah.
Same.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, no, I do appreciate, having you here on the pod. Wishing MuseFlow a lot of success. I'm going to check out the app as soon as I can. I'm going to make sure I use that code Arise50. I encourage all of the guests listening to also go ahead and take advantage of that as well. Yep. Where can people find you or find your work? Does MuseFlow, you guys have a social media platform like Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah. We've got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got TikTok, Twitter. And yeah, you can check us out there. The website's the main kind of go-to.
Okay.
But yeah, we're slowly building the socials. It's a slow journey. We're taking our time with all of this.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, you guys put your focus on what's important, and that's the product. And yeah, that's the one that's going to make the ultimate impact at the end of the day. So, yep. All right, Patrick. Well, hey, thank you for stopping by. And if I'm ever in California, I'm going to have to check out one of your shows. We'll see.
Thanks, man. Vice versa. If ever I'm in Orlando, is that where you are?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to go to Disney, let me know. I'll hook it up.
Heck yeah. All right, great. I'll hit you up. Absolutely.
All right. Well, sounds good. I appreciate your time. And anyone listening, make sure to check out the show notes and make sure to subscribe for more Arise content. Thank you and take care.